Hello, welcome to the session Emergence of IoT ecosystem. So, today I would like to deal and teach about these things, what are the emerging systems and what are the emerging softwares we need for IoT and all. So, I will teach all the things, I will cover all the things that related to that IoT ecosystem. So, I will make sure all the things are completing or not. Apart from that, so firstly, thanks for giving this opportunity. Thanks for giving this opportunity to Suresh sir, HOD, and the coordinators, which is Bindu ma'am as well as Santosh Kumar. So thanks for giving this opportunity for this workshop. And this is Mohan sir from PANTECH e-learning. Okay, and today I'll start the session without wasting any time. Now what are our agendas? So let's see about these things. So what I was trying to cover all these things, that is nothing but introduction of IoT. What is IoT? I'll teach what is IoT and all. After that, I'll teach the overview of Raspberry Pi. Raspberry Pi is nothing but a controlling unit which is worked under the principle of IoT. So that's why I'm considered a Raspberry Pi. Apart from that, to control that system and to control that software, we need one language, right? That is what we call common source code. So that is what we are using here as a Python. And apart from that, the sensors used to work on. Sensors are the input for each and every system, right? So we are using that sensors, and I'll share the sensors information and all. So this is our agenda. So let's start with the introduction. So what is Internet of Things? Nothing but IoT means. So here in detail I have to show that Internet of Things is nothing but when two or more things are communicating with each other without any interface of human and with the help of internet. That is what we call as IoT. So IoT that we can define in the form of IoT is a network of physical object device embedded with electronics, software, sensors and network connecting that enables this object to collect and exchange data. So as I said, this IoT is used to collect data as well as analyze the data and exchange the data. So these are the users, these many users are there with the help of IoT. So that is what Internet of Things. We are making some things are nothing but any devices, electronic devices which are making communication with the help of internet and without any interface of human, and all this data will transferred in the form of cloud. This data is transformed to the cloud. So what is cloud means? Cloud is nothing but a data platform, data storage platform which can store the data as well as it can analyze the data. So that is what cloud stands for. It can analyze the data. So with the help of that internet connections and all, we can transfer the data and we can collect the data. So that is the exchange process takes place in between the cloud. So you got my point, right? So IoT is for making connections with the help of internet to the devices. So let's consider a best example for this IoT in order to get some clarity on this. So while we are going to office, your entire home is connected to IoT system, which is smart home system. It's a setup. So in that what we have a smart refrigerator, a smart TV, a smart what we call washing machine, a smart dishwasher. So everything was a smart which is controllable by the internet itself, and we use one microcontroller and one controlling unit to control all the things. Okay, so for that we need some brain, right? So here we are using the controller as a brain to control anything and to operate the next thing. So now let's we are considered a smart home, right? So while we are going to office, so where we can observe this point means, so you don't know whether your washing machine is working or not, but with the help of IoT system, while sitting in office itself, you can see whether your washing machine is working or not with the help of this application. So there are so many applications there, right? So these applications will collect the data from cloud. So cloud means, I will explain that, I will show that one. So before that we get some analysis, what are the requirements for that cloud means. We need some analysis in the sense we required some inputs to the cloud. So that inputs were happen by the things are nothing but which devices which can give information from one source and it will transmit the data to cloud with the help of internet. So it was transferred to cloud. Here the cloud, in this cloud the analyze purpose was done. So they will analyze the data according to it, whether the washing machine is on or off. So while you are seeing in your application, it will show your washing machine is off. If it is on, you can off from there itself. So when you put on a off command in your mobile phone, it will communicate to that cloud. That cloud again asks the devices to go back. So you have to ask, I got some instructions like that. They can connect with the help of internet. So that's why it makes us easy to communicate with devices. So this is how they are working. So for that thing, we doesn't require any human to transfer the signal as well as to control that what we call devices, which are nothing but washing machine and all. So this is not this is called as that is IoT thing. For that, it doesn't require any human interface in order to work one work. To give some instructions, it required human. Apart from that, it doesn't require any human or something like that, any external source to work on its own project. Okay, to work on its own thing, it doesn't require anyone to work on. Got it right? So in this process, what are the requirements means? We required so many things. So as I mentioned here, firstly we required some inputs, and that inputs to the controlling unit. Controlling unit is nothing but one board, either our computer or motherboard or something like that will take care about all the controlling units. So it know that it consists of all the things, the programming languages and all. So it can take the signals from other devices. So let's consider, as I said, everything was a smart thing in your home. While you are leaving out, at 9 o'clock they will wash the clothes. After the command, at 10 o'clock they will wash the dishes, and at 11 o'clock they will clean the room with the help of robot. We have some electronic robots, right? So here these three things are communicating with the main microcontrolling unit without any interface of human. They are connected with the help of internet, and this controlling unit will give the commands. So it's 9 o'clock. I have to give the command to that what we call a washing machine. Like that, it will know the things what to do, because we pre-program all the things inside it with the help of one source code. Source code is nothing but language, one coding language, which is Python or something like that. Whatever the language, we will use that one to communicate with computer. So we are already programmed before going office or something like that. So with that language, it can it could know that I have to do this work. So it will complete the work, and it update the values in cloud itself. So whatever the thing was done will be uploaded in the cloud itself in order to modify the things and in order to calculate the things. So what cloud will you cloud will do? I think you got the point. I'll show that thing. If you want, I can explain this one with the help of one paint. So apart from storing data, what cloud can do means it can analyze the data. So like this, it creates some bars. So like that, on Monday I turned on how much time it required to wash the clothes. On Monday, like it worked up to 9 o'clock. Like that, here it will give some time. Like that, on Tuesday what will they say? It worked up to 10 o'clock. Like that, it will clearly show the graph, so that we can easily understand while opening an R app. So it will show the information like this. So when it shows the information like this, we can clearly get to know that whether it is working or not, as well as the efficiency too. So that much flexibility is created by the cloud itself. So you got it right. So that is what cloud, apart from storing the data, it can analyze the data and it will show to the user itself. So that is what the process happen inside it. So before that, the steps as follows, as I have shown here. First, it will collect the data with the help of sensors. Whatever the unit, if you give manually, it will take it. If not, the automatic things we have sensors. And apart from that, it communicate with the internet. With the help of internet, it communicate to the devices. So that is important, right? After I said it will analyze the data. After making some communications and connections, it will analyze the data. Analyze in the sense, as I shown, it will create some graphs and all. It will show that one. After that, it will act according to it. According to the instruction, it will perform that operation. Let's consider where if you are using a smart water pouring system means, so whenever the humidity level of ground decreases, like the water level of ground decreases, you have to pour some water. So for this we need one sensor as an input. So it will calculate the humidity level of ground. So whenever the level is decreased up to 30%, we will give one instruction. So here the analysis process takes place up to 30%, it decreases, create some graph. After that, whenever it detected less than 30, it will go to here and it will keep here that, so it decreases 30. Now you have to pour some water to the plants, like that it will create some instructions to the board, and each and every instruction was pre-programmed by the human itself. It doesn't create any new things. So we can create and we can add up on that one in the form of program. Okay. So far you cleared, right, how the communication and execution happens in IoT. So this is the main scenario what I am trying to share. So wherever the smart system you can take with the help of gateways. Gateways are nothing but routers. You can see routers, right? With that help only we will transfer the data from router or place to the cloud. You know the cloud where it will store, it won't store in air or something like that. It has some separate database. So that there is separate place for it. I think you have an idea of Google database and Microsoft database. So it will store according to it. So it doesn't store in air. There few people will say it will store in air, right? So there is no space for that, right? Apart from that, there is separate database for IoT things. So it will store the data in cloud itself. Okay. So with the help of gateways. Gateways are nothing but routers. So this is industrialist is nothing but user. You can see with the help of this cloud, we can see with the help of that database the data, whatever the data in our phone itself. There is no need of going to home or transport not to show what is happening there. So that is what the scenario of IoT. What is the use of IoT? So this is the best example I can share. So apart from that, the fact is in 2008 we have a connecting devices of IoT. Up to 20 billion devices we have connected to IoT, like the database and all. So in 2025 we are expecting the rate of 80 billion connecting devices which are connected to IoT, electronic devices which are connected. So this is the technology what we are improving in. So this is why I named it as an emerging technology, means it increasing from 20 billions to 80 billions in a span of 7 years. So that is what you have to think about. And in detail we have to understand what is the controlling unit. So for this it's okay, it's a process of transferring data. For this, as I said, it required one brain, right? So let's talk into that brain. So that is what we call as Raspberry Pi. Raspberry Pi is a controlling unit which can control the data as well as which can share the data and which can perform the operations according to it. It is a we can define it as a supercomputer, one small computer, a credit card sized computer. It can perform one operation, you know, which is pre-programmed inside it. Like you can simply call it as CPU. So without CPU we can't operate monitor, right? So if you have Raspberry Pi in your hands, you can operate that monitor and all. You can control the keyboards and instructions and everything without CPU and with the help of Raspberry Pi. So that is the place of Raspberry Pi. Raspberry Pi acts as a CPU for every system. CPU is the brain to any system. It can perform operations and it can execute the operations without any instructions. So why Raspberry Pi means Raspberry is a fruit name. They came after fruit name. Pi stands for Python language. They developed this board with the help of Python language. So that's why they named it as Raspberry Pi. So why we are using Raspberry Pi apart from computer and CPU means Raspberry Pi is low cost and the size is very small, as they mentioned, credit card sized computer, and that can plugs into a computer monitor, or you can plug that into a keyboard or TV in order to display what is happening inside. And it consists of one system on chip, SoC. That chip consists of both microprocessor and microcontroller. It can perform operations as well as it can control the system, the next step, depending on the instructions what we are giving. So far we have these many models in our hands. So in 2014 they started working on this. Like in 2012-6 itself they started working on Raspberry Pi. One student started working on Raspberry Pi. Apart from that, what he did in 2012, they developed and they given one Raspberry Pi model B on 2012 February 15th. Okay, on that version it got clicked and it was sold to up to 50 million units. So then they got some confidence and they started working on this board, and they developed the next board in 2014 November 10th, which cost of $20. You got it right? Like that they developed each and everything, and coming to existence, now we are using Raspberry Pi 3 and we have 4 source 2, which was latest one, which is released in 2021 itself, Raspberry Pi 4. Okay, these are the models which are get upgraded. The upgrading part is nothing but you can see the difference, right? The components are increasing, here the capability is increasing. So that is the main thing you have to learn. Here the capability increasing and the working process is increasing and the speed increasing. So depending on the technologies and depending on the work they are working on, and they are getting best and best results for the best one. So now we are using Raspberry Pi 4, which was developed in 2012 and which was released in 21 January. So that is what we are using. So what it consists of, the brief explanation of parts. Here it consists of 4 USB ports. You know the uses of USB ports, right? In order to connect to any camera or something like that, keyboard, mouse. So as I said, Raspberry Pi looks like this, right? So it can replace the entire CPU. So that is the important point you have to mention. You got it right? This can replace entire CPU and you can use your computer without CPU if you have Raspberry Pi. You have to connect that mouse and all to this one, like 4 USB port. You have to it consists of one LAN jack, Ethernet jack, which has a capacity of 200 Mbps second. So you can use internet as how you are using computer, like that. And it consists of one audio jack. You know the uses of audio jack, right? It's an output for audio jack, 3.5 mm. You can use your earphones if you want to, like as I said, if you want to play some games, you can it consists of inbuilt one game, you can play that game. So if you want, there for games there is some audio signals, right? The background score, you can listen with this jack. It consists of that one, and it consists of CSI camera port, which is capable to take one camera. Like if you want to program that camera according to your users, you can use this port. If not, you can connect directly here. There is a converter of USB to camera port. You can connect and you can use these 4 ports wisely, depending on your use. Okay, and apart from that, consists of HDMI jack. You know the usage, right? HDMI jack is for to use to make connections with monitor. You got the point, right? If you want to see something what is happening inside, you have to connect this to monitor. And it mainly consists of one micro USB power port. Without this power supply, it won't work. For each and every electronic device, the power supply is important. You got it right? So apart from that, it consists of display port, which is LCD display port. If you want to print something or if you want to show some displays, you can use this port like that. If you want to see some in monitor, you can see. Apart from that, if you want to see in that in this what we call LCD display and all, you can see in this. Okay, and it consists of one Bluetooth module as well as Wi-Fi module. As I said, it is used to transmit the signal wirelessly. For wireless communications and wireless transmissions, we are using this Wi-Fi module and Bluetooth modules according to our need. If you want to transmit data from huge distance, you have to use Bluetooth, like less distance for Bluetooth, and for the long ranges we have to use Wi-Fi module. Like that they are divided, and it consists of SD card slot. For each and every board it requires some OS, right? It inbuiltly consists of one OS, Raspberry Pi and OS. For our CPUs, we are inscribing that Microsoft OS, right? For this, we have to dump this that OS to this SD card. We have availability of Raspberry Pi and OS in internet itself. You have to download that one, and you have to dump that code in this SD card, so that this entire board get OS, operating system. So with that help of operating system, you can get you can see it's an user friendly operating system. You can see what is happening inside, like that. And it consists of one system on board chip, SoC, as I said. It's a combination of microcontroller and microprocessor, and the speed is 1.2 gigahertz, as well as it's a 64-bit microprocessor microcontroller. Okay, you got it right? And it has a capacity of 1 GB RAM. So everything was inscribed in this board chip itself. That is what we call as system on chip. Apart from that, it consists of 40 GPIO pins. GPIO pins are nothing but general purpose input output pins. If you want to for each and every system, it takes some input, right? This is a controller, means it takes some inputs, right? Like our brain consists of some nervous systems and taking some inputs, right? Like that, these are used to make some connections with the help of wires. We will make connections with the help of jumper wires. There is jumper wires for that. So with that we will connect to this board to any sensor, something like that. So that we make some communication with the help of these 40 pins. You got the overview, right, of this board. There is these 40 are among divided into one another. I will explain if possible. Apart from that, it consists of one interface chip. This is interface chip. Why interface chip? Means it acts as a translator. So this language, whatever the language we are providing, is not understandable by this board, because electronic board is consist of fully electronic signals, ones and zeros, like that. So in order to translate that input signal, whatever the language, Python or something like that, into ones and zeros, this chip will be used. This chip will change all the languages into ones and zeros, as well as transmitted to this board. So that this is the brief explanation of Raspberry Pi itself. And as I said, it consists of Raspberry Pi and OS, right? So it was designed by these guys. Apart from that, as I said, it consists of 40 pins, right? In that 40 pins, they are divided on one amount. If you want to make some screenshot, you can take now itself, because this will be available in internet. If you want to take, you can. If not, these pins you should remember in order to connect with one to another supplies. So let's consider one sensor you want to connect. For each and electronic device, it requires one power supply and one ground reference and one data pin. So for that, we have to use ground pin to ground pin and power supply pin to power supply pin. Here 3v3 volts or 5 volts, whatever the thing was same, it's a power supply. Ground is same. Now the black colored are ground, so those are same. You got it, right? So these we have to use according to our need. For data pin, you can connect in these pins. There are 27 GPIO pins, right? So you can use whatever the pin you want, and you have to mention that data pin in the code itself. You are writing something, right? So I was using 13th GPIO 27th pin as data pin to the sensor. Like that, you have to mention in the code, in code language. And the ground is common. They pre-programmed this 14 as ground and this 2 as power supply. Like that, you have to use that one. So that is what inside in it. What are the programming languages we can use in this? C programming language, Java and Python. Among them, this was invented with the help of Python, right? So everyone will use Python to program that one. So what are the things we have to require? So we have to require programming structure. For that, we require some libraries which are required to import some things like the GPIO pins, all the things we have to import. First, we have to import the Raspberry Pi setup, right? So there is some libraries in Python. We have to import that one. After that, we have to describe. As I said, we have to describe each and every pin in that code. So it don't know what you are using. It doesn't get what you are using. You have to describe that in code. That's it. You have to feed all the things with the help of code. That's it. And you have to do the input output setup. What you are getting input and what you are taking and what you are giving output. You have to mention all these things. So if you want any continuous thing and any continuous programming, means you have to keep all the things in that loop statement. So you know this, right? When you get that programming language, all the setup is same for each and everything, and you have to clear that with pins. So you have to mention all the pins and all. So that is depending on yourself, your basis only. If you want more pins, you have to mention all the pins. So that is what. So how to put OS means is not a big deal. You can go to our website, PANTECH e-learning, how to install Raspberry Pi OS and pantechelearning. You should mention that one. So we keep one poster there, like one website there. I clearly mentioned there. It consists of 2 websites, 2 applications. You have to download the 2 applications. One is SD card formatter and Win32 disk imager. So Win32 disk imager is a software which can read and write. Read in the sense which can take the inputs, and write in the sense which can give the inputs to the software itself. So that is the application we are using. So we have to install that 2 images, that 2 applications, and apart from that we have to take one SD card and you have to insert that one with the help of what we have card reader or something like that. So firstly you have to format all the SD card. In that website it consists of OS too. If you want to download, you can download OS itself. Apart from that, OS if you are done with OS downloading, there is some specified path for that, right? So when you cleared all, if you formatted all the things, you have to go to SD card formatter. In that SD card formatter, they'll ask, say I'll show, when you are done with that one, they'll ask the path location of OS. So like this, first SD card formatter, this is SD card formatter. When you inserted SD card, it will enable the option of quick format. So you have to format this one. After that, you have to open Win32 disk imager. So that app will be like this. So when you open this one, it takes some time depending on the computer performance. Apart from that, it asks to locate the storage path. You have to locate the storage path of OS where you installed that one. Installed in the sense where you downloaded that one. So here I am consist in F drive. I'll go to that one and I'll just dump that one. Like I'll open that one. Like that I have to open and I have to mention that path, and there I have to click write button. Right, there is a write button, right? So it will write all the things in that SD card itself. So that is how we have to use that one. So Win32 disk imager, it will show like this. When you selected the path, and you have to click write button. If you click read button, means what it will do, it will read whatever the things inside in the SD card format. It will read the junk, whatever what is present inside in it. So that's why make sure you have to click write button, and it takes some time to process. After that you have to exit. Whenever the completion is done, you have to exit that one. So that is what inside in it. So this is system interface chip. So what are the technologies in Raspberry Pi 4? This is the one, this is the latest one, right? It consists of USB ports, as I said. So here the technology is increasing. Now you can see the choice of 1 GB, 2 GB, 4 GB. The specifications is increasing. Here gigabyte Ethernet. So it increases the capacity of internet speed and powerful processor. As I said, this is the design of Raspberry Pi 4. I think this is not in real working, like we don't bought any Raspberry Pi 4s with it, but this is the prototype of Raspberry Pi 4. So it was an advanced one. It consists of 2 HDMI ports which capable for 4K display. So here the improvement is high. So they increased all the things apart from USB ports and all. So gigabyte speed and the choice of RAM, whatever we want, and new processor. So this is the things they are created in order to make efficient works. So that is how they are developing the technology. And as I shown the Win32 SK measure, you have to mention these parts. If you mention this location where is the Raspberry Pi OS in your computer, then you have to click write button. Okay. And as I explained this practically, right? So common commands of Raspberry Pi. What are the commands of Raspberry Pi? So when you install that Raspberry Pi, it will ask for few commands. You have to give that commands whether they are or not. You have to give some commands. You have to first configure. You have to check where, if you want to check the configuration, you have to type sudo raspi and configure like that, and you have to click enter button. If you want to create new file, you have to type this one, sudo left pad file name whatever the file name you want, and after that existation. So like that you have to create, and you have to click enter. You have, if you want to install any package, means you have to click sudo apt the name, package name, and install. Like that you have to mention all the things. If you want to capture that thing, please screenshot this one. This is important commands for you. If you depending on the command what you want, you can use. You can find this in Google too. That depends on your wish. And as I said, we are using Python language for this. So I'll end up with this session with Python language. I'll explain the basic things in Python so that you can get some clarity. Okay. So this is the man who created Python. The name you can spell there, right? So apart from that, it was invented in 1989. So the old one, the first version, which was a new version to the world, and they used it, and Why it was bang means the Python language was bang means because Python is easy language which can understandable by English itself. So it consists of 50% of English. Apart from that, it consists of 50% of coding. So if you know English language, you can get the Python commands too. You can easily understand that one. It's a high level programming language and fast to learn and fast to develop applications. It's easy to develop too, because if you learn this Python language with interest, it's easy to learn in 1 month itself. You can learn all the things in Python because it consists of many library source. We just need to learn what are the library source it's in. So and we have to learn the usage, that's it. Apart from that, Python is the best language. It is available in many platforms. You can use depending on your language, depending on your whatever you want. Okay. Apart from that, what is the process inside in it? So as I said, source code was given with the help of language, Python language. So please, if you have any interest in language, please prefer Python from my side, because easy to learn as well as it consists of less formalities compared to other languages. So that is the best part in this. And firstly, source code is nothing but what is the programming language which was given by the human itself, and source code means which is understandable by the human as well as the computer. So that is what source code stands for. So this is the inside thing, what happens inside in it. It will compile the thing, what happens inside when you executing something. So firstly it compiles the things whether you are given correct or not, and it converts all the things into byte codes, which is nothing but ones and zeros, and in that it goes to Python virtual machine. So in that machine there is something so called inputs and library modules. It will check whether they are satisfied with that one. If any errors there, they will get back to you and they will intimate you have some errors in that source code, and they will mention that line too. Apart from that, if you connect it to that device means then next step the code will be executed. So that is what happens when you executed or when you starting some commands with Python. So what are the applications for this one? So all the things which are present in the world is connected with language, software language, and among them Python is the best language to connect and to make easy commands. So we are expecting 69% of Python language source codes in future generation. Okay, in next generation the main source of any language and any instruction, any learning is Python. So the scientists are working on this, so they are improving Python that much, like that for artificial intelligence, deep learning, software development, whatever the things, language development, operating system, for each and everything they are developing the things. So this is the use of Python when you are getting to it. So if you install this IDE, the basic IDE, it will display like this. So as I said, and before I mentioned some commands, right? If you want to execute that one, you have to use this command sudo apt get that name. If you want what we call, there are OpenCV or something like that, there are so many libraries, right? So you have to mention that name and you have to click enter. So it will automatically take that whatever the source code is happen, it will take that one and will intimate to you. This is the first model you have to test, command prompt. This is Python command prompt. You can develop the simple things like printing welcome to the Python, like that. You can do the small things. So it doesn't require any formalities like you have to mention this one and this one. If you mention 1 + 1, it directly execute and give the output of 2. So this is the flexibility we have in this Python. So if you want to execute more and more, and if you want to develop means, you have to take some separate IDE which was named as PyCharm, or what we call that, there are Jupyter Notebook, there are so many software for that, you can use that one. This is the basic command prompt, you can use this for commands, so whether to check that one or not. And as I said, pip install numpy is nothing but if you want to install any package in this Python means, you have to mention this names. Pip install numpy is a command, numpy is a library, so which can perform the mathematical operations. If you want to perform some mathematical operations, you have to install this package, numpy package. If you install that one, it will perform the operations. And OpenCV, we have one package. If you install that one, it can perform the image pixelization operations. So if you want to convert that image data into numbers data, you have to use this OpenCV platform. Like that you have to what we call create some paths according to our need. If you want to perform operations, you have to import Numpy. If you want to import some image processing, you have to import OpenCV. Like that you have to develop all the things according to our need. So later on the next thing is sensors. So this is the end of the session. So sensors are nothing but which can detect the object, like the thing near to him. It can feel the taste, or it can sense the sounds, something like that. It can do all the things which was done by the human itself. So they are designed with the help of human itself. So they are designed with the human reference. Human can hear that sense, right? 5 types of senses are there, right, for us. So that 5 senses are divided in the form of electronics, and they named it as sensors. So that is what sensors for. They can feel, and they can touch, they can see, and they can smile, and they can whatever they want. That is how humans they are developed. If you want to connect, let's make some simple connections with one output LCD or something like LED. Let's see how to connect that one. So as I said, it consists of some pins, right, ground pins or something like that. You have to connect for a bulb or something like that. It consists of one negative pin and positive pin, right? And first, so as I said, ground pins are there na. You have to connect one negative pin to that ground and one positive pin to any of these GPIO pins. That's your wish. And if you connect it like that, you have to mention that name in the code itself, like this. For pin number 6, I have connected ground. It's a inbuilt one. There is no need of mentioning. Apart from that, for pin number 7, I have connected GPIO output. Like that you have to mention that one in Python language, like this. So this is the basic code of blinking light. This light is blinking, right? So firstly we have to import, as I said, we have to import the GPIO pins. This is Raspberry Pi .GPIO. We are importing all the Raspberry Pi GPIO pins as GPIO. That is what I mentioned. Apart from that, I was importing time in order to measure the time, to give some delays. Apart from that, I have to set up the mode. What is that mode? Pin mode as output. Like I want this pin as an output. Here it getting some output, right? So that is how I have to mention as output. So that is what pin setup means. Pin mode means output, you set up at that one. After that, you have to create some loop in order to make it on and off, on and off. In this language, true means on, false means off. Like that they are created. GPIO output, whatever the light you have taken, I need that LED to be on, and you have to sleep. Time to sleep means time dot sleep means it's a delay time which can take 1 second means there is no need of mentioning seconds units. You have to keep the number itself 1 second. After that it execute the next program. What is that? I want the GPIO output, I mentioned here, LED pin as off, false means off. So it gets 0 signal and it will wait for one time. What is that? 1 second, while it was in a loop, right? So that was it execute continuously. Like this we get some results. It executing continuously and on off for 1 second delay. So that is how we have to write code for LED pin. Apart from that, if you want to create the same thing with sensor, means as I said, sensor consists of 2 things, right? 3 pins, right? One is ground and one is output and one is voltage, the power supply. Here what IR sensor will do means it will detect the object, it will create some path. This is IR receiver and IR emitter LED. So firstly it will emit the data, whatever the data it will emit in one direction. If any obstacle is there, it will reflect to this. The reflections will be taken by this IR receiver. So by that it will adjust the distance and all, and it will intimate to you. Like that it will intimate to you. If it is working, it will continuously blink, the power supply is there. If not, any obstacle is there, it will blink. This is for power supply LED, whether the power supply is working or not. This is obstacle LED. If any obstacle is there, we place something, the reflections will be received by this IR receiver and this light will be blinked, and that data will be transmitted with the help of output. That output is connected to our one of the GPIO pin to Raspberry Pi. So that is how we have to connect to these 3 things to that Raspberry Pi. You can see this one, right? Here I have connected voltage to voltage, like 5 volts to VCC. VCC and 5 volts are same, so there is nothing but that is a power supply. Apart from that, ground to ground, I have connected ground to ground. Now we have to consider the data, whatever the data I am getting, I have connected to that GPIO 23, and I was giving output to the buzzer, like if any object is detected, this buzzer will ring. So for buzzer there is two inputs, one is ground port and one is output port. That output port is connected to 24 GPIO and one to ground, and you have to mention these two names in this code itself. That is what we are teaching that. So here I am imported all this Raspberry Pi GPIO pins as GPIO, and apart from that, why we are importing time, we have to calculate some the time, right? So in order to see give some delays or something like that. Apart from that, I was taking IR sensor as 26, so I mentioned that one. I was set at that one for input, so I have to mention that IR sensor as input in the setup model itself. And after that, here I am taking the loop. If that IR sensor is 0, that receives the 0, like it receives the signal of 0, it receives anything, like until it receives 100 or something like that, it transmits one signal continuously. If it stop receiving signal, it becomes 0, right? Because one obstacle is came, so there is no transmission and receiving because we got some obstacle, so it stops the signal. So then it becomes 0. Whenever it becomes 0, we have to print obstacle is there. If not, we have to print no obstacle is there. So whenever it transmitted signal, it consists of some value, whatever the value it consists. Whenever a obstacle is there, it will stuck to there and it will intimate, it won't reflect anything, so it gets some value of 0. So that is how we are detecting something. So this is the coding we have to mention. So that's why I have mentioned all the things. I mentioned IR sensor as 26. Here I didn't mention any buzzer. Please make some clarity. Not to show you, I have mentioned. Apart from that, we just need how to take the input, right? So this is code part and this is practical part. And next, it deals with infrared ultrasonic sensor. Ultrasonic sensor is nothing but which can detect the shape as well as which can detect the whatever you call the distance, as well as it can detect the angle. So according to that angle it can move. If you add any servo motor to this, it will rotate according to it. So firstly, it consists of one transmitter and one receiver. It transmitter will continuously generate that one. If any obstacle is there, it will reflect that one and it will echo to this receiver part. This receiver will take that one and it will calculate whatever the signal it coming from. Like if any human means, it reflects in the form of shape, right? For your nose and your mouth and your like that, it will get some default reflections, and that will be reflected by this received by this part. Whenever it receives some data, while we are programming, if we get this shape, it detects as a human. If we get a round shape, detects it as a ball, like that. Depending on the what we are getting, it differ what is the object, like that. It can show the object, it can see the object. Same is said, it consists of power supply and ground for everything, and this is ecosystem, and ecosystem means receiver, one TR means transmitter, okay na? Trigger means it transmits the signal. You have to connect these two things to the main board so that it can get the point, okay? This is pin diagram and this is the connections, and here we are connected power supply to power supply, ground to ground, and these two are transmitter and receiver pins. We have to connect that one. They will mention clearly in that board. You have to connect according to it, okay? So that is what we have. If you have any questions, please comment. I can answer that one. So that's it. That is how communication will take place between anything. If you have any questions, you can ask me. And thanks for waiting and thanks for your time. And now I will share the attendance link. You can fill up that one. Please follow that rules and all. If you have any questions, please ask me. Apart from that, please fill up that attendance form. So thanks for joining. I am satisfied with you guys. So if you are satisfied, I will continue the class tomorrow itself. There is nothing in it. I can teach whatever I have. So I have that much patience and confidence with me. So please stay home and stay safe. While going out, please wear a mask. Every life is matter. Have a nice day. I am ending up this session. Thank you. Thanks for joining. So thanks for joining guys. Have a nice day. I shared the attendance link too. Please join that one. Please fill the attendance form. Thank you very much. I got a positive response. Thank you. This means a lot. Thank you. And once again, thanks for giving this opportunity, Suresh sir, head of the department, and the coordinators Bindu ma'am and Santosh Kumar. Thank you. And all the credits to Spurti Engineering College itself. Thank you.